Hello, everyone. Here to go over the appointment setting script for final expense. Going to run through it, kind of run how the conversation goes, and we'll go through some rebuttals at the end here. Start off the call, just say ring, ring, ring. Hello, is this Karen? Hey, Karen, my name is Josh Benson. I was giving you a call because you had requested some information on life insurance. Pure and simple life insurance, don't have to go into anything as far as final expense or burial. We'll touch base on that in a minute here. At this point, I do give them a little bit of a reaction time, so I'll give them a second. I'll pause. If no reaction is given, I don't want any awkward silence, so I'll say, okay, well, I'm the gentleman that handles the area, and I wanted to confirm the information you had left. Your address is 123 Main Street in Grapevine, Texas, 76043. And at this point, typically they'll say yes or no. If they said yes to requesting some information on the life insurance, just say, great. Well, I'm the gentleman that handles the area, reconfirm their address like I had said previously. If they say no or don't really remember, just say, okay, well, this was a call that you had responded to and you had left your information because you were interested in life insurance. Typically at this point, they'll call will continue and you'll reconfirm the appointment and, you'll be able to confirm their information. If they still say no, just plainly ask them if they're interested in life insurance at all. Don't waste your time or theirs. This is important because, you don't want to be going back and forth with people that aren't interested. Just use anything that you have as far as information on them to kind of refresh their memory. And sometimes they'll remember, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they may not have left it. Sometimes, their loved one, someone that lives there with them, might have been the one that responded. From there, I move on and say, okay, well, I have you at 65 years young. Is that correct? It's very important for you to say young. People know that they're old. People don't like to be reminded of a lot, and you're going to set yourself apart by being different and saying that young at the end. I get great reactions all the time from the clients. They'll start laughing. They'll say, I wouldn't say young. And, it really lightens up the conversation a lot. So use this to your advantage. At this point of the conversation, once you've confirmed that you're talking to Karen, you've confirmed her address, you know that she's 65 years young, you can kind of steer the conversation one of two ways. If they're being engaging in the conversation and they're talking to you a little bit, you can move on and ask them a little bit more information. If they're just kind of being nonchalant and just not really responding that much, just simple yes or no answers, then I typically go right into the appointment. I'll try to set up going out there to see them because that'll make it a lot easier than them moving forward with the phone call because they're not being very responsive. But I'm going to go through just like they're having a conversation with me first, and then we'll move into setting the appointment after that. At that point, I will ask them, is this coverage just for yourself or is this for a loved one as well? And, they'll give you a couple of different options here to go off of. If it's just for themselves, I go and I say, okay, how is your health? Any major issues in the past 2 to 3 years? Have you had a heart attack, a stroke, cancer? 9 times out of 10 here, they'll open up to anything that you need to know and give you an informed decision on which company they'll qualify for before you even go out to see them. So this kind of makes your life easier as a broker. From there, I just go through and I say, okay, as I told you, I'm the gentleman that handles the area. I'm going to be out visiting clients in the area tomorrow and also on Wednesday. And I wanted to see if morning, afternoon, or evening works best for you to stop by and give you the information. At this point, you tell them, hey, it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes to go through the different plans and pricing that you'll qualify for. And then you can decide if it's something that fits in your budget, or you can tell me to get lost. Ha ha ha. Just give them a little bit of a laugh after you tell them about getting lost. A lot of times people will chuckle and they'll say, hey, I'm never going to tell you to get lost. And it really lightens up the conversation. It also makes them feel stress-free so that, they're not going to be pushed around by another sales guy, even though ultimately your goal is to get them to sign up for a policy when you leave there. So I will From there, I'll just say, okay, so 10 a.m. on Tuesday, great. Lastly, I wanted to check to make sure a lot of these companies do offer a discount if you have an active checking or savings account. Do you have one of those? And they'll say yes or no, or they'll say, well, I have a Social Security debit card, those type of things. This is a key point that I always touch base on just because you don't want to waste your time. And it's always good to know what you're getting into before you get out there as far as getting in advance, or if you need to take out a different policy that covers someone with a Social Security debit card. At that point, I do confirm the appointment. I say, okay, 10 a.m. on Tuesday at your address. Express that you're looking forward to meeting with them in person and thank them for their time. So pretty simple and straightforward. It's not an every case script, but obviously, it's worked for me and it's worked for other agents with getting the appointment set and kind of making it a light conversation. I'm going to run into a couple of rebuttals here. That way you can kind of know what to throw out at people and so that you're prepared before you get on the phone and you're able to do those things. So you'll have people that say, can you just send me something? And I said, well, I could, but I'm what's called a broker, and I have access to all of the top carriers for what you're looking for. I'd like to send you something, but I'd be sending you something for 15 different companies. So which day works best for you? And at this point, you can go for the kill. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain, and if they ultimately still want you to send something, just send it or stop by with the information. You don't want to lose them. Every lead should be worked in a proper way. And, I've had people a lot of times say, okay, that makes sense. 10 a.m. on Tuesday works for me. You have people that say, I'm not available on those days. Go for a different day, but always call to confirm. So you don't want to get in a bad habit of setting appointments 3, 4, 5 days out, because there's a much greater chance that the person's not going to be there. So you want to make sure that you're reconfirming those appointments. If you are setting them on a Monday and the person can't meet till Friday, just to refresh their memory. A lot of these people are retired or disabled. They're going to doctor's appointments or, babysitting, those type of things. But always want to call to reconfirm. If they cancel appointment, yeah, it stinks. You don't want to have to, get an appointment canceled on you. But a lot of times if they cancel the appointments, they're just trying to blow you off anyways at that point. So you want to make sure that you're going to a solid appointment where you have a great chance to leave there with an application. You'll have people that say this week isn't good. And, I run into this all the time. I just say, okay, well, when is good for you? I'm the type of person that will slow play a lead, so it tends to work out in my favor. Everybody's different. If they tell me that they're not available until the following week, I'll just tell them, hey, today's the 12th. I'll call you on the 19th. Does that work for you? And they'll say, okay, yeah, that works great. Now, just a word of advice. A lot of times these people will recognize your number and they won't answer because they know why you're calling. So I tend to use a different number whenever I recall them back, just because it makes it fresh and unknown to them. So that typically answer that number at that point. You're going to get a lot of people, and this is what I get more so than anything, is they're going to say, well, how much is this going to cost? And typically what I'll say is I'll go over the different pricing and plans whenever I see you. And you'll get two different options here from people. They'll say, well, I want to know a price before you come out and see me. Or you'll get the kind of people that will say, okay, we can go over the pricing whenever you come out and see me. It's worked either way for me to either give them a price on the phone or just wait until I get out there to give them the pricing. Obviously, you want to do it on a case-by-case basis. If you think the person's not going to be interested in meeting with you, if you don't give them a price over the phone, then it certainly makes sense to give them a price on the phone. Otherwise, you might just lose them altogether. But you do want to go through and ask them some more detailed questions. That way you can kind of confirm that you're not giving them a lowball price and just trying to, give them something. You want to make sure you're giving them a good idea of what they're going to qualify for. If you do give them a price, sometimes what it does is it eases the tension and, it'll give them the ability to say, okay, well, yeah, that does fit my budget. So, tomorrow will work for me. We'll see you then. Um, Another rebuttal that I get is, what company are you with? And if they're being hard nosed and they're just trying to figure out, who is this person calling me, I'll just say plain and simple, Mutual of Omaha. It's one of the main companies that we all write with, and it's really well known to a lot of people. So this will give them the ability to feel comfortable with the person that's coming out to see them, regardless if you put them with Mutual of Omaha or not. If they're cool and they're engaging in the conversation, I'll just say, I'm a broker. I represent some of the top rated companies out there. I like to think of them as the best companies out there. Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Gerber, to name a few. That way they have a clear understanding of what you do. That way, if you end up putting them with Royal Neighbors as opposed to Mutual of Omaha, they know it's because that's who they qualify the best for. Those are just a couple of things that we run into rebuttal-wise. Obviously, this is not an every case script. This is just typically how my calls go. I'm not saying that it'll work for everybody, but it does for me. Please feel free to reach out to me or your manager if you have any questions whatsoever. And most importantly, with doing your calls, be calm, talk slowly, and be yourself. Thank you.